Welcome to the Double E Show. Bad strategy, horribly simulated. What's going on, everybody? Jippa73 back with the Double E Show. It's Lamplight City. Welcome back, everybody. So we finished our first case on the job after our incident with our partner. And now we're on to the Purloined Protogeny, is the way it's pronounced. I couldn't say it last week. I don't know why. I was like Protogeny. Okay. Anyway, so I just told my wife that I'm heading off to bed. So I'm going through the doorway here. I think it's...
Who could that be at this time of night?
Right?
Good question. But Adelaide can handle it for now. I need to take my medicine.
You certainly have your priorities in order. Go on then. Get that bottle of rat piss out of your nightstand and let's get this over with.
Ugh, tastes like the devil's sweat.
You could just stop taking it, you know.
Bill, now is not the time to...
Miles, could you come back out here, please?
Be right there, dearest.
Okay.
Who was that at the door?
A late-night courier. You've got a message from Upton.
Fordham, this case makes the last one look simple. Meet me at Ruin as soon as possible. It's urgent.
It seems this case is rather urgent. She wants me to meet her as soon as possible.
But didn't you just take your soporific? Are you going to be all right to go?
It won't kick in for another hour or so. Should be plenty of time.
All right, I'm going to bed then. Good luck, dear.
Good night, Addie.
No goodnight kiss? Okay. Well, do what we gotta do. Alright, casebook updated. Message from Upton. Yep, okay, close. Sounds about right. Let's go to... Well, let's go out the front door, because we don't have the map until we do so. Okay, and the Ruin Coffee House. Boy, these people never leave. Alright.
Hello, Upton.
I'm glad you came, Fordham. Sorry for disturbing you this late.
Shouldn't a respectable young lady like you be in bed by now?
Only if you want to add boring to your list of adjectives.
So, what do you got for me?
An infant kidnapping in Lyon. The report came in tonight just before my shift ended. The family wants to keep the investigation very low-key. They're afraid if word gets out, they'll have all sorts of ne'er-do-wells making false ransom claims. That's why I suggested they let you investigate first. Head over to 45 Belcourt Street. That's the home of Malcolm and Miriam Harris, the parents of the kidnapped boy.
Okay.
Harris? As in Harris Construction Company?
The very same. Owned by Malcolm's father, no less. Now you see why they wanted to keep this out of the public eye.
Indeed. If they manage to get a new transatlantic airship off the ground, it'll be an aura mine. I can see why they'd make an easy target.
Okay. I'll get the kid back before you can say hot toddy. Okay, I'm on it. I'll try to find him as soon as I possibly can.
Okay, I'm on it. I'll try and find him as soon as I possibly can.
Right. Good luck on your investigation. Come see me again once you figured things out, or if you just need to talk. I'll be here all day tomorrow as well, so feel free to stop by.
Wow, you have absolutely nothing going on, huh? That would be your life. Okay. So out to the thing, the Harris residence. Let us away.
Mr. Miles Fordham is here to see you, sir.
Very good, Mr. Havelock. Send him up.
Yes, sir.
First I thought he was wearing a trench coat.
Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Fordham. I'm Malcolm Harris.
I'm terribly sorry to hear about what's happened, Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Fordham. You were very highly recommended by Miss Upton. She said you'd be able to solve this faster and more discreetly than the police. I admit it's a rather unorthodox approach, but we're desperate.
I understand. I'll do all I can to find the kidnapper and bring your son back unharmed.
If you'd like to examine the nursery, it's just through that door to the left. I'll ask you to please try and keep quiet as I just sent my wife to bed. Her nerves are rather shot, you see.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so to the nursery, to the bedroom. We have some portraits around. Tea service. French doors. Funky globe. Portrait, anything out here? Okay. Well, let's go check out the nursery. It's where he suggests we go first. All right, so the break-in actually, you can see the broken windows, broken glass on the inside, so the window was broken from the outside. Got a bottle warmer, portrait, crib. Okay, so first things first, let's inspect the broken window. Torn fabric.
Be careful not to cut yourself, Miles. I don't think the Harris family has ever seen blood that isn't blue. Interesting. This fabric looks as though it came from a garment of some kind.
Yeah?
Look, you can see the balcony extends all the way around the side of the manor.
That would make it rather easy for someone to access this window from the outside.
No evidence of what was used to smash the glass, though.
Right?
Probably won't be another year or so before the child gets any practical use out of those blocks beyond putting them in his mouth.
Right?
It looks rather flimsy. Let's not try sitting on it.
So there's a chair there. I would imagine that's where the nanny sits to watch the baby. We see anything else that we have to... Okay. Check out this other
Nice view of the
window.
garden from up here.
That it? Okay.
A steam-powered bottle warmer. Certainly beats having to do it in the fireplace. Or in the case of my parents, over a barrel fire.
Okay, let's check out the crib. Okay.
That's odd. Why is there a loose button in the crib? Now, I'm no expert on children, but it seems like it would be dangerous to have around an infant.
So, piece of fabric, loose button.
Nice mobile. Custom made, too. There'll be no mistaking what family this child comes from.
So this button, and then there was a brown swath of fabric.
Yeah, the kidnapper left the child's blanket behind. There doesn't appear to be any trace of the silver spoon, though.
Okay. All right.
Look at that. The kid has a toy chest. My sister and I used to have to keep our toys buried in the backyard. Of course, that is because the only toys we had were dead rats. My friend Bunny. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want a giant imaginary rabbit for a friend.
That's a reference to a movie from the 40s where I think it was called Harvey. A guy ends up having an imaginary large rabbit as a friend, and people think he's gone crazy because he's always talking to it.
Bear's picnic. Something about a group of giant human-like bears eating together in the woods is slightly unsettling.
Okay.
Some sort of fuzzy animal wearing a waistcoat. Charming.
All right, so that's about what we've gotten here. Okay. Yeah, not a lot going on there. Okay, so if I want to just take a look at this piece of fabric one more time. Because I want to make sure that I make...
Huh. There's a small emblem sewn onto the side of this piece of fabric. It just says SS.
Somebody's initials, maybe?
I didn't realize I could grab it.
Be careful not to cut yourself.
Got it. Okay, so let's go into casebook. Speak to the Harris family. Find out who or what SS is, right? So, torn fabric. A piece of torn fabric. Seemingly from a garment. Well, in that instance, we might go back to the crib. And see if we can't pick up that button. Oh.
Ah, wonderful. The soporific has started working. Well done, Fordham. Now how are you supposed to... What's the word I'm looking for? Instigate? Interrogate? I just had it on the tip of my tongue.
Perhaps it's time to call it a night.
I am fading. That's interesting. But sleep is more interesting.
Okay.
No talking now.
Well, Mr. Harris, I believe I've done all I can for right now.
Did you find anything?
Yes, I believe I have some leads I can pursue. But the most important thing to do in cases like this is wait to hear from the kidnappers. I'll be back tomorrow morning to continue my investigation and ask you and your wife some questions once you've had time to calm down a bit. In the meantime, I suggest you stay here and get some sleep. We'll all need it.
Okay.
Miles, wake up. It's nearly noon.
Ah, so it is.
Why didn't you come to bed when you got home last night?
It was late. I didn't want to disturb you.
So what was so urgent about the case Upton sent you?
I'm trying to track a kidnapped child.
Oh my goodness. That's awful.
Yes, the pressure's on, but I think I should be able to crack it.
Assuming you actually managed to get anything done at the Harris Manor today.
Well, let me know if there's anything I can do to help. Also, we've got company. Mrs. Delacroix is having her hair done here today, so please make yourself presentable.
You mean I'm not all ready?
At least do something about your hair. I do have a reputation to maintain after all.
What's wrong with my hair?
Do you really want me to answer that? We'll be here all day.
Okay. So,
It's admirable just how organized that...
apparently that's not it.
Pretty. Wouldn't you say...
So? Addie gave it to me.
Right. Brooding...
What are you talking about?
Never mind.
Okay.
Yes, the bottle is still in there.
All right. Do I do anything about my hair? Where do I do? Okay, you know what, I'm good.
And then he said, "Oh, hello there. I don't believe we've met."
Mrs. Delacroix, this is my husband, Miles. Miles, this is Mrs. Delacroix.
Pleasure to meet you, madam.
Likewise, young man. Pleasure.
Is everything all right, Mrs. Delacroix?
Oh, yes, everything's fine. It's just that... Well, you weren't what I was expecting, is all.
Keep your head, Miles. She may be a close-minded idiot, but she's just an old lady.
What were you expecting exactly? Are all your clients just root? Okay.
You mean the portrait over the fireplace didn't clue you in?
Now then, Mrs. Delacroix, what was it that you were telling me about Mr. Delacroix and his dogs?
Oh, yes. So, Harold came in and said...
Impressive. She got off pretty easy. I was expecting a repeat of the Parsons incident. You should give Adelaide a kiss on the way out, though, just to make the old bat feel extra uncomfortable.
Right?
Addie?
Not right now, Miles. I'm busy. We can talk once I finish with Mrs. Delacroix.
Goodbye, dearest.
I look forward to your return, my love.
Nice. All right. Back here.
Remind me, Miles, how was finding some rich people's kidnapped baby going to help us track down the flower shop burglar?
This isn't about the burglar. It's about helping people. We might find a lead to him during the investigation. I don't know. Maybe it won't.
I have no idea. Maybe it won't, but this needs to be done.
Very noble of you, Miles. If I didn't know better, I'd say you were purposefully stalling.
Don't be ridiculous. I want to find the man as much as you do. You know that.
Right. Well, if you plan on solving this case, you'll need your full wits about you.
Right?
What are you implying?
I'm not implying. I'm flat out telling you. You need to stop taking that soporific. Adelaide has been trying to get you to stop for months, and Upton already suspects something is amiss. Not to mention your little episode last night. Trust me, no one is going to want to hire the duller detective.
Clever. Did you come up with that one all by yourself?
What are you going to do when the cases stop coming in? How long before you get put away in Riverview?
If I do get locked away, it'll be your fault.
Which is exactly why you need to get back to your normal routine so you can find the burglar.
Right.
All right, fine. I'll stop. But if you keep me awake at night, so help me.
Don't worry. I'm sure you'll find a way to cope. You were always good at that. Well, I'm glad that's settled then. I knew you'd see things my way eventually.
It's not as though you gave me much of a choice.
In time, you'll thank me. Probably not before the withdrawal hits, though.
Don't make me change my mind on this, Bill.
Mr. Fordham, you're back. Allow me to introduce my wife, Miriam.
Hello.
A pleasure, Mrs. Harris. I wish we could have met under better circumstances, but I assure you I'm doing all I can to find your son.
Thank you, Mr. Fordham.
Mr. Harris, has there been any communication from the kidnapper?
None at all.
Well, I'll have another look around, if you don't mind.
Okay. Let's go back and that in there, shall we?
Miles, didn't you notice something a bit strange about the Harrises?
Quite a few things, actually. What are you referring to?
Their son was just kidnapped, yet they're each on their own side of the sitting room. Not comforting each other, not crying together.
I thought
Nothing.
that too.
They're stuck-up rich people. Not exactly the type to show emotion.
Miles, you know I'm the most cynical person there is when it comes to their type. But this isn't normal behavior, even for snobs. This goes deeper than saving face. There's something going on between them. I think you should find out what.
Okay. Let's see this button. Can I pick it up now?
If only the flower shop burglar was as easy to find as this clue was.
Okay. So, going into the case book. Here. Loose button. A single loose button found in the baby's crib and the torn fabric with SS on it. Got it. Okay. Back out of here. Excuse me. Okay, come in here. Let's talk to Miriam.
I have some questions for you if you're up to answering them, Mrs. Harris.
I'll try my best, Mr. Fordham.
All right.
Tell me what you know about your son's kidnapping.
Oh, my poor baby!
Mrs. Harris, I know this is difficult, but I need as much information as you can give me so I can bring your son back.
Yes, you're right. I have to stay strong. For Charles. It happened sometime between 6 and 8 last night, I think. Both my husband and I had gone out. Charles was in the care of his nanny, Mrs. Davis. I arrived home first, around 8:30, and that's when I found this scene in the nursery, as it was.
And what was it you found?
Mrs. Davis, unconscious in her chair, the broken window, and Charles missing from his crib. Malcolm arrived home shortly afterwards, around 9, and then immediately sent our butler, Mr. Havelock, to notify the police. We stayed up waiting for any contact from the kidnappers, but there was nothing.
You said you arrived home first. Where were you last night?
Oh, I was visiting with some of my friends. We gathered at one of their homes for a concert.
I see. And your husband?
He was at the social club with his friends as well, I believe.
Wait a minute. I know this attitude all too well. This woman is hiding something. Most likely from her husband.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt it's voices from beyond the grave. So the question is, what's her secret?
And more importantly, how did Mrs. Davis become unconscious after the kidnapper broke the glass to come in. Wouldn't that have startled her? Yeah, okay. So, let's go back to the clues.
What can you tell me about Mrs. Davis?
Well, she's worked for us since Charles was born, a little over 6 months ago.
How did you come to employ her?
Malcolm's mother had a friend whose daughter she used to care for. She came highly recommended. We've never had any problems with her. She's always been a dream.
Where is she now?
In her room, I would guess. With Charles missing, there's little for her to do.
Where might I find her room?
There's a small building just around the back of the manor. Hers is the 4th door from the left.
Okay.
I found this bit of torn fabric by the broken window. Do you know anything about it?
No, I've never seen it before. Do you think it was left by the kidnapper?
Perhaps. Did the initials SS mean anything to you?
No, I can't think of anyone or anything I know with those initials.
Okay.
Tell me about your son.
Charles is our only child. He's such a good boy. Never makes a fuss. Always very sweet. Oh, Charles, you must be so frightened out there without your mother. Oh, please, Mr. Fordham. You have to bring him home.
I'll do my best.
All right.
I found this button in your son's crib. Does it look familiar at all?
No, I don't recognize it. It looks like it came from some cheap coat. Is that what the ruffian who took my baby was wearing?
That's what I'm trying to determine.
Okay.
Tell me a bit about yourself, Mrs. Harris.
Mr. Fordham, my son has been kidnapped and is out there alone, terrified and confused. What could I possibly tell you that would make any difference to you finding him?
I suppose you're right, Mrs. Harris. My apologies if I upset you. Can you think of any reason why your son would be a target for kidnapping?
It could be that someone wants our money, or some lunatic who's angry about the new airship. My husband's an investor, and my father-in-law owns the company building it, you see. I just don't know, Mr. Fordham. Frankly, the fact that something like this could even happen is just terrifying.
That's all for now, Mrs. Harris.
Very well.
Okay. Now let's talk to him a little deeper.
I have some questions for you, Mr. Harris.
Yes, of course.
Tell me everything you can about the kidnapping.
I don't know much. I was out last night while it happened.
Where had you been previously?
I was out with friends. My wife can verify the time I arrived home.
It seems hiding something from your spouse is an activity both Harrises partake in.
Okay.
Tell me about your son.
Charles is a good boy. Very quiet. Miriam had wanted a child almost from the moment we married. You know how women are when they have their hearts set on something. I saw no need to rush, but...
Nice to know you're not the only one. Hey, Miles?
The first 2 times Miriam was with child, she suffered some unfortunate accidents. She was devastated, as you can imagine. So when Charles finally came along, he turned out to be quite a blessing. I can't imagine what sort of depraved madman would take him from us like this. You must find him, Mr. Fordham.
I intend to, Mr. Harris.
Okay.
Tell me about yourself.
There isn't much to tell, really. My life has been fairly well publicized in the newspapers.
Let's pretend for a moment that I skip over the society pages.
Well, I'm an investor. My father Clyde runs Harris Construction Company, which I will someday inherit. Any other details about me are fairly trivial nonsense, I think.
Okay.
I found this bit of torn fabric by the broken window. Do you know anything about it?
Looks like it came from a piece of clothing. Possibly a jacket.
Did the initials SS mean anything to you?
Maybe? I can't really say. You'll have to excuse me, Mr. Fordham. I've got quite a lot on my mind right now. If I can think of anything, I'll be sure to let you know.
Okay.
I found this button in your son's crib. Does it look familiar at all?
No, not at all. Do you think the kidnapper might have left it behind?
It's a distinct possibility. Those are all the questions I had for now.
All right.
Okay, so the problem I have is that the nanny was knocked out. I think the fabric, the button, and the broken window are staged items. Let's go check out the French
Harris
doors.
family certainly has a nice view from which to look down upon the world.
Apparently,
I wonder if they use the balcony to give speeches to the gardeners.
Right. Well, apparently I can't go out them. Let's take
I
a
know
look.
the hand and waistcoat pose is supposed to look stately, but to me it always looks like the person is scratching themselves.
Right. Okay.
She looks like she's up to something.
Okay. Let's check out the sleeping quarters. I would imagine. Okay. There's one bed. That's a good sign. Let's see. So we have a vacuum cleaner. We have a clothes pile.
It looks like a pile of women's clothes. Must belong to Mrs. Harris.
Okay.
There's a handwritten note among the clothes.
Miriam, baby, I have to see you tonight. It's been far too long. R. Okay.
Nothing else hidden among the clothes. Too bad.
Okay.
Fancy. Some poor servant's probably going to get a flogging for leaving it in here, though.
Okay.
Who in their right mind would need that many drawers? Wardrobes are usually always full of wonderfully dark secrets.
Okay, we've got a case. Let's look at that first.
Empty suitcase. I suppose Mr. Harris must travel every now and then. One thing is for certain. Mr. Harris uses entirely too much starch on his shirts. One thing is for...
Got it.
Mr. Harris's color selection is almost as drab as yours.
Let's see if there's anything of interest in any of the pockets.
So, Mr. Harris is a fan of the ponies, is he? I'm sure that's not causing him any trouble at all.
Okay.
Mr. Harris... Yeah, it seems like this is where Mrs. Harris keeps her unmentionables. I like the ones with the frills and the stitched cat. Paperwork and receipts. Nothing particularly interesting here. More lacy underthings. I wonder which Harris they belong to.
Okay. So let's hop out of there. Check out the dresser.
Let's see what we have here. A very poorly written letter addressed to Mr. Harris.
I don't suppose it's a letter of admiration.
On the contrary, the author seems quite upset.
Mr. Harris, misspelled. This is your weekly reminder of how much I hate you. Because of you, my wife is dead. My wife was a wonderful woman, and you have taken her from me. I hope you suffer as much as I have. Arthur Devons. So, interesting.
Nothing else of note in any of the drawers.
Oh, well, at least we got to play a rousing game of Search the Rich People's Dresser.
Right, okay.
Oh, another four-poster. The Harris family certainly makes no secret of their wealth. Painting of the city. Probably the only time the Harris family sees any of the other boroughs.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Nothing else hidden among...
Okay, so that's everything from there. So let's go through the clues here real quick. We've got the torn bedding stubs. Anything else? Speak with Mrs. Davis, the Harris's nannies. Yeah, we could do that. I got a message from Upton. Handwritten note from... Okay. Alright. Okay. So, we're going to figure out how to... Let's go back out the entryway here and see if there's a way to get to the back of the manor. Well, there is. Okay, so Mrs. Davis's quarters is there. When we come back next week, we will speak with Mrs. Davis regarding anything that she might know. Seems like this kidnapping is slightly staged, but we'll find out more as we investigate. So, if you like what you're watching, hit that like and subscribe button down below. Tell your family, tell your friends. If you have any suggestions, tips, tricks, anything like that, no spoilers, put them in the comments below, because I will read them. And with that, I will catch you next Monday for another episode of Lamplight City. Peace. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, check out the playlist above, or watch what YouTube tells you to on the right. Oh yeah, and subscribe.